Welcome to the Eating at a Meeting podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Stuckrath, dietary needs expert, certified meetings manager, certified food protection manager. I have searched the globe to find people and businesses who are creating safe, sustainable, and inclusive food and beverage experiences for their employees, guests, and communities. In each episode, you will find authentic conversations about how food and beverage impacts inclusion, sustainability, culture, community, health, and wellness. I know that sounds like a lot, but we're going to cover it all. Are you ready to feed engagement, nourish inclusion, and bolster your bottom line? If so, let's go. I'm so excited to bring you an episode today to celebrate Dry January. January is Veganary and Dry January, so I try to spread the wealth across the month and talk about both. And my two guests, Cate Faulkner and Jen Gilhoi, who were on the show last year in March for Women's Herstory Month. They are with Zero Proof Collective. And after 2 years of deep diving into the non-alcoholic beverages, they are going to bring light to its flourishing potential and looming challenges. And they are here today to talk about, as the title on the show said, the 7 compelling reasons to serve elevated non-alcoholic drinks at your next event. And welcome, ladies.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Likewise, I'm so excited. And we've got some people, a bunch of Instagram already, Jessica Bank and Craig and Stephen Einstein. Hi, and Ruth. Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to jump in and I'm going to say, kind of as a joke to something that I attended years ago, was that an elevated drink would not be cheer wine and Fresca mixed together. Is that
That's yes. Yes.
All right. Tell everybody how the two of you started Zero Proof Collective. What is Zero Proof Collective and why we're here today to talk about this?
Yeah, well, we started Zero Proof Collective in May of 2022 with the idea that there were a lot of barriers in the non-alcoholic industry that we needed to overcome. So we have hosted meetings for people in the NA industry, and we've learned a lot along the way, a lot of lessons. And collaboration has been one of our biggest lessons. And then we've also been serving NA cocktails at events and talking with people in person and having these conversations about why NA beverages matter. We've just learned so much. So that's what we're going to share today. So share a little bit of a perspective over the last year.
Okay, great. And you can't really see them up there very well, but I've got 4 different bottles of non-alcoholic beverages up here.
Love it.
And I'll just bring them closer because they're easier to see. But my house is now, I've not drank in 5 years now, but my dad is drinking non-alcoholic beverages. So we've really started to incorporate these different beverages in the household, not just the sodas and club soda with a lime. So I really want to, in that 9 months, our life has changed here too. So I'm really interested in getting into this. But we might as well jump in because we've got 7 reasons to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do want to say it's interesting to watch your dad because you told me he was on some medication and he needed alternatives, and he's really embraced it.
He has.
I'm proud of it, making it his ritual. So one of the common questions is, what age category is this? Who does it attract? Who is this for? And it really is for everyone. There's no limitation. It's for anyone who chooses not to drink alcohol on occasion or not at all.
Well, and my niece, I gave her I had the canned spiritless beverages and I gave her some of those and she's like, oh my gosh, I really like this. So she's doing the same thing and she's 23. So 23 and 81 in my house, my immediate family that are drinking non-alcohol, and then 55. Not drinking alcohol.
And that probably is the most important lesson that we've learned, is just get people to try it because it's come a long way. We've come a long way, baby. I'm probably the only one that remembers.
I
can't think.
No, I remember that. So let's jump in with the 7 reasons. So what's your number one reason? What's number one compelling reason to bring this in to your event bars?
Yes. Okay. So just before we start, I want to clarify that NA is the acronym for non-alcoholic. We say NA all the time, and we say it really quickly, and sometimes it just sort of floats through the sentence. Those of us in this space are beginning to assume a lot of things that we have to remember that some people have never heard of this. So then NA options are just non-alcoholic beverages, elevated non-alcoholic beverages that would be available at an event. So, and this is all part of the NA movement, which is a major cultural shift. It celebrates a lifestyle choice focused on choosing not to drink on occasion or not at all. And it promotes a sense of belonging and a wide range of elevated NA alternatives, and it encourages individuals to continue to socialize, unwind, and celebrate without alcohol.
Well, and I shared the story with you that my friend Joan shared with me from Washington, D.C., and a woman who started a non-alcoholic bar in D.C. after she had a DUI. And she used it as...
Bergie, is that her name? Yeah.
Yeah. And she started as her 13th step because she needed a place to go.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
And I love that. Yeah. The fact that she did that. And she's been in business for a year. And so hopefully I get to see her. We get to go meet her at the end of the month, Cate. That would be great to meet her in person in DC. But I mean, I think that's really another pivotal reason in medication choice, just choosing not to do it or whatever. I think it's a really keen opportunity, and we're all at events.
Okay, let's start with the number one. We like to get number one and number two out of the way because it's kind of the icky part of the conversation. We are not taking anyone's alcohol away, for starters. This is not
okay.
Promoting. We are coming from a place of abundance.
Okay.
That's imperative that we start in that category. It seems sometimes this industry polarizes people, just the concept and the thought of it. So we have to be careful. The reality is the World Health Organization took a definitive stance a year ago now with the Lancet Public Health Journal, and the summation of the study, its Canadian study, states that when it comes to alcohol consumption, there is no safe amount that does not affect your health, period. End of discussion.
Okay.
So that's...
Even the glass of red wine that people, some doctors have said.
That was a con, right?
Yeah.
60 Minutes did that, actually. So, yeah, physical health, alcohol, headaches, dehydration, nausea, indigestion. I sound like one of those commercials for medication. I'll just say them all really fast. And then there's another aspect is mental health. We've got post-COVID, we've got a lot of mental health issues in our country. Modern drinkers, they might have temporary effects, but it doesn't last. And heavier usage of alcohol is defined as 5 drinks for men on one day or 15 or more per week. And for women, it's only 4 on one day, but 8 drinks per week. That's consumption. So this is what's associated with depression, anxiety, emotional instability, sleep disorders. Everyone can pretty much talk about their sleep because they do find themselves waking up. And you can get permanent cognitive impairment. I'll speak to that with my personal experience of my father. It was a dementia-inducing. This is the health and wellness issue, and it's wasn't, but it's a fact. So the only real purpose of it is it's nice to share the information so everyone knows, and then it's out there. And you got it.
It's almost like drawing a very set line with your alcohol use, and was very compelling last year to hear that statement be made because people now aren't looking for, what's a good amount and trying to moderate. They're simply saying, okay, now we're shifting to the idea that it really is not good for us in any amount. So that's huge. And that also paired this with Dry January again.
But live a life and drink it in moderation. That's the reality if you choose to. But if you don't want to exceed the 5 drinks, this is where NA options come into play. Yeah, you can have a drink or two and then switch and keep drinking.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't remember the name of the book. Philip Cook, I think, is the author. He's like, 30% of people don't drink alcohol, or they stop after one drink, right? And I know I have the book.
Who are those people?
But later, we have that statistic of half the world's population doesn't drink alcohol. So,
number 2. What's number 2?
The second one, responsible choices, and when it comes to safety and liability. So this is obviously huge in the corporate space, and over the last year, talking with a lot of legal teams and departments about all of the things that they are faced with, especially after company holiday parties, large conferences, where the impact of serving and over-serving people through an event like that, there is a corporate responsibility. And to be able to look at that and say, let's build some things in that make sense where we're offering non-alcoholic options so we don't have our attendees in these situations, which we know the drinking culture around that is massive. And the thought that you have to ply your employees or attendees with alcohol to get them to talk to one another is crazy. It's like these people are hopefully coming together with a professional interest in something, and to be able to just recognize that and offer some different NA options and also lead with that. Let your guests and attendees know that's going to be the tone of the event.
Right.
Come prepared to learn and engage without that drink ticket and looking forward to an alcoholic forward happy hour. So there's all sorts of research behind this, but looking at a commitment, for example, a corporation could look at having a commitment to guest safety at their events. You can change your policies within. You can create buy-in and leadership that this is important. The other stat we look at is people get in their cars and they drive home after these events. And even at bars and restaurants, this applies everywhere, where we see huge numbers of DUIs still happening. In Minnesota here, average about 67 DUIs per day. And this, and this,
that's a normal.
Yeah. And this other stat, 5.7 million of DUI related issues. So you can't really hide behind that. And a legal team, any good legal team or lawyer in an organization should be encouraged to take a look at that and shift their offerings to support a commitment to that responsible hosting.
Right. Well, and I took the story from the DC bar and today posted it, and I was writing it and I said, one of my former clients used to give the sales team drink tickets and then they would pass them out to the sponsors, like unlimited drink tickets for people just to drink. And then I had this aha moment that it was the same convention probably a decade ago or more, actually more, that one of my former coworkers at my corporate job, the next morning, the meeting planner's telling me the story. He's like, yeah, last night this woman left our reception and she fell into she was so drunk, she fell into the fountain and she split her head open, and such company pulled her out. She went to the emergency room, and I'm like going, please don't be my employee. Please don't be somebody from me, my company. And it was. And she wasn't there with me specifically. She was a local that had come in to attend, but they overserved her margaritas the whole time. And I mean, as a meeting planner, it was my duty of care to report it to my bosses, but she ended up losing her job. And I said in my piece today, I'm like, thankfully she didn't get behind a car. Right. The only damage was, quote unquote, the only damage was her split open head, but the loss of her job.
Right.
I mean,
devastating.
So, and thankfully it wasn't the loss of a life.
Right.
So,
there aren't many events that don't have a storyline that include, sometimes, particularly when it's an open bar, and we'll just say weddings as the last bastion. Yes.
Yeah. So no, I like that. And Cate, you had mentioned a story of a corporate client that you spoke to, and it was a kind of a happy hour thing too. And the CEO was surprised that you were pitching non-alcoholic beverages. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think there's less of that. I mean, there's some knowledge. I would say in a year, while we can say everything, things have really changed and the sales have increased and there's more knowledge, to some degree, it's still the same in many spaces. Right. So yes, and if there's a leader who drinks alcohol, there will be less awareness, and perhaps awareness is from the younger people, but there's this balance. We had this one woman tell us she was in leadership at a corporation, and she said she was reluctant to ask for non-alcoholic options at a corporate event because she thought they would think that she had a drinking problem.
Wow. That is the stigma that we are still dealing with. So when we talk about the power to make change in an organization, it can come from anywhere. And so if leaders aren't yet on board, it can be anyone in the organization. And that's what we do at Zero Proof Collective, is give individuals tools to be able to move that forward.
And it's not more than a couple options. This isn't really hard. What we're talking about, like we're making it a little big and complicated, but this isn't a big.
Start small.
It starts small.
Yeah, you're not, we're, like you said at the very beginning, we're not eliminating it altogether. We're just adding more options to that bar top. Hey, you can have these things too.
So that leads right into number 3, which is the most important word that everybody uses, and that's inclusivity. It's our favorite word. The reason Jen and I even came together, because we were struggling with the lack of inclusivity in the social spaces. And it's been remarkable in the last year how quickly these spaces have changed.
Yeah. And can I just add, through our connecting, we each have about 9 years of sobriety. So we are what I term sober necessary. So that's important to understand too, because we have a history of being in these spaces for a very long time and asking the questions. So.
Like, whip something up for it. They might as well say, hey, the woman on the bar stool at the end is not drinking alcohol.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, this isn't about prohibition. That didn't work. This is about provision. So it's providing for. And I have a new phrase that I really connected with a couple weeks ago, that bartenders should craft and serve NA options with the same casual finesse as their alcoholic counterparts.
I like that. Yeah.
Just don't make it a thing.
Yeah.
Have it make it lower. Integrate calories, please. Integrate and just send it over.
Integration. I think that's really important. Integrating it into the overall bar program, and even looking at hotel catering menus. And I'm looking at 3 different hotels right now for different events I'm producing this year. And the non-alcoholic beverages are like the sodas and bottled water and what are those other drinks that
go thrown in there? And
not even that on a hotel catering menu, but it's the Red Bulls. Those kind of drinks, right? That's what's offered on the non-alcoholic beverages of hotel catering menus.
Yes. That's just it's lazy, and come on, you gotta do better. If the guest says these words, I'll just have water, or I'd like a sparkling water with a lemon. Can you put it in a wine glass, please? That's pretty common because everybody wants the pretty glass. Okay. I decided this is secret code for please. Yes, I would love an NA option. So attention to that.
Yes. And there's a guy that I chatted with years ago, and he said it's really that glass thing. And Cate, you and I we'll talk about something we're going to do next month, but like the different glass options, right? It's not just that the regular soda glass or the regular water glass. Let me have my drink in a martini glass or whatever kind of other glasses there are that I can't think of at the moment.
Right, but that means that's the casual finesse of it. Yeah, it's same as everybody else. It's just like, here you go.
Yeah. I love that terminology, casual finesse. It should just be integrated.
Yeah. And now leading into this next idea of beverage insecurity and what that means, there's a lot of education that goes into getting a server or a restaurant attendees used to that kind of casual finesse that we want people to experience.
Right.
There's a lot of learning that goes into it. But
so this is number 4.
Number 4.
And it's really, we learned it from you because you used the term food insecurity.
Yes, absolutely. And so we've, embraced the term beverage insecurity because of the seriousness of when you do not have a quality elevated non-alcoholic option, people are instantly coming into that space and have no options. So they're either going to all have a water, or if they're, potentially in early sobriety or just choosing not to drink, they are faced with a very specific challenge in a social setting that is very uncomfortable and awkward. And so the level of seriousness that insecurity, that word implies, I think is very applicable. And having these options so that people can make better decisions in the moment is just what needs to happen now. And then I think also you don't have to explain your choice. So I overhear this. We've been serving bars and restaurants and in corporate event spaces, and you just overhear the conversation, and people have to explain to their whoever why they're not drinking. That is happening a little bit less.
Yeah,
we're seeing good for you. It's dry January. This is a perfect month to just go breathe, but not having that stigma around it is huge. We're seeing that shift. So the seriousness of it is Why
So,
have the label?
to your point, you told me this morning that you mentioned you were in a space that's serving in Orlando that suggests nobody asked for it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was the catering manager that said that to me.
That nobody asks for it. That should also be in the secret code book.
Right.
Nobody asks for it.
Right.
There's beverage insecurity in your space.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and so what just popped into my head from that is that in chatting with some catering managers over the last couple of years or whatever, is their job is to actually upsell, right? And like I have a food and beverage minimum of just say $100,000. And actually one I was chatting with for one of these events is like, okay, well, and I'm just and explain this. I'm going to take the dessert from the lunch. Dessert always comes with the lunch order. I'm like, I want to take the dessert from lunch and serve it as my afternoon break, so that I'm not having to spend more money on my afternoon break food. And she's like, well, I said, is that doable? Do you allow that? And she's like, yeah, I don't like it. And I said, why don't you like it? And she's like, because my goal is to make you to spend more money. And so tying that into now these drinks is like, why not look at this as an opportunity to make more money on the bottom line for a hotelier? And if that catering sales manager makes commission on that, I'm like, hey, you're going to make, instead of selling the $8 soda, which is, they do charge $8 for soda, sell a $13 elevated non-alcoholic beverage,
right? And
you're making more money.
Yes.
More tax and more gratuity. And yeah.
That's number 7. So we'll come to that.
Oh, sorry. All right.
That's okay. So number 5, creativity and innovation.
Okay.
The rise of non-alcoholic beverages is not subtraction to alcohol, but an addition of creativity and innovation. And we just talked about that with Budweiser. And tell that what you read.
Me?
Yeah, about the Olympics.
Oh yeah. Budweiser has announced that their non-alcoholic beverage is going to be the beer of the Olympics for the next 3 years. Their non-alcoholic beer.
Okay.
And I'm like,
that is the biggest message.
Yes.
You know, Wall Street advised alcohol makers recently that you better get on board with this in a space because you're going to be down. While 2% maybe doesn't seem like a lot, that's $1 billion to them. So yes, they're well aware of the situation. So that alone should tell you it's something. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful example, other than some of the things we've experienced. That's the best one. But there are so many new options that are sophisticated and thoughtfully crafted, and the flavor profiles are unlike anything you've ever tasted before. And it's fun. It's exciting. And it really is fun to share with people because they light up. It's a life-changing thing. They're like, whoa, that's a life changer. Then the dealcoholization process, which we try to talk about a lot, comes after the fact. After it's an official bottle of wine or an official can of beer, they take the alcohol out. It's Ben Jordan of ABV Technology reminded me, it's like decaffeinated coffee. You're got to pay a couple extra bucks because we're doing a service. We're taking the caffeine out for people who don't want too much caffeine. So it's a gift. But it's not going to continue unless we keep this cycle going and people take the opportunity to enjoy this new creativity and all this innovative technology.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. There's so much innovation to it. And actually, a gentleman that I spoke to a couple of months ago, it's the automated, like the soda machines at the movie theater, right? His beverage system is kind of like that, picking that up. But in his thought process on it is that in a busy restaurant, in a busy event, it allows the server it allows the bartender to focus on the people sitting at the bar, right? And it allows the servers to actually get their drinks out faster to their guests that are sitting at tables. And we talked about it in like, you could put the non-alcoholic pre-made batch drinks in that, right? To serve it faster, right?
Oh,
and
we did a wedding this summer and they had it almost was all completed, but she just did 3 or 4 ounces of mix and then topped it with the sparkling water and the beautiful garnish.
Yeah.
And this went very fast. Yes.
And the other category I just want to mention there is ready to drink. So a lot of smaller scale events that I'm doing will just have something you can open up and serve. And that really works well in the corporate event space when you have a little social hour, you got to get people served and moved into a panel discussion or something. So there are a whole host of options there.
Yes, exactly. Okay, cool.
Number six, this is a favorite, that it promotes mindfulness. So think about being like the only person in a room that is choosing not to drink and how that can feel isolating and you can feel alone. I have felt that. What I noticed a couple of years ago is I attended an event that was completely alcohol free. So no one was drinking alcohol. And what I noticed in that space and experience was the level of engagement and the connection, the deep connection people were able to experience when no one was drinking alcohol. So we have a complete spectrum of event experiences around how you can shape mindfulness and how you can promote that through, of course, offering NA options. They could be alongside alcoholic options, but the gold standard is in some of these corporate events to be able to just say, hey, we're doing a completely alcohol-free event. And what happens when you have people that are engaging in that way, they're immersed in the present moment. It allows people that maybe have never chosen like not to drink at a corporate function to say, I might try this and understand the mindfulness between making those choices and provide community as we've done with experiences that showcase what that actually looks like. Yeah. And I think the relationships are deeper. And as a corporation, of course, you're going to get more value and connectivity when you are engaging with people that aren't under any sort of influence.
Right. The most interesting example, we've had it a couple times, but one that just jumps out is when we had a bar manager, been in the alcohol business for years. We had a lot of tasting. His personality, like, it was just blooming after drinking all this non-alcohol. It was like this placebo effect because you're doing the thing, you're bringing it's going through the motions, and he was so lively. It was fascinating.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, I always say it's about 20 minutes into like a happy hour. So as you're coming into a new space, whether you're drinking or not, there is a social anxiety that a lot of people experience. And the immediate thing is I've got my drink ticket in hand. I'm going directly to the bar to get an alcoholic drink so that I can wind down and be ready for conversation. But when the alcohol is removed, what we find, and people are drinking these great NA options, is that about 20 minutes or so, people just start naturally warming up to each other. And it's because of the connection. So if you can lean into that and watch that happen, if you are an event host, that is such a compelling reason to continue to do that and just observe what happens.
Yeah. And I've got a story to say on that, but I want to post up here. Laura Silverman says, just want to say how incredible the Zero Proof Collective duo.
Yeah, she's Zero Proof Nation. She has the most, and I was going to mention her in the last point. She has a website, which I'm sorry to interrupt your story, but she has a website, Zero Proof Nation, that identifies where all of the NA bars are around the country and really around the world. She's got a very beautiful interactive map. And the bottle shops. So it's a great resource, and the online shops. So she's a pioneer.
Absolutely.
In the space. We talked about that one time. She's going to be one of the people on Mount Rushmore. We'll call it
NA Mount Rushmore.
The NA Mount Rushmore.
Hey, Laura, I want to meet you at the Mindful Drink Fest later this month up in DC. So I definitely want to meet with you while we're there. We're talking about mindfulness and then there's something about the Mindful Drink Fest too, about not drinking, and the keynote speaker, the Cate I sent you, and it was about having sex without alcohol.
Oh,
and what that
is amazing.
Yes. Yeah. And oh my gosh, let's talk about that. But I lost my story, but it's okay. There's so many ways that you can really think through this, and when you're not drinking, you can actually, the whole point of events is connecting. Right. And you don't want to have that stigmatism of being that person who falls into the fountain. Right. You want to land that deal. Oh, I know what it was. It was the episode in
the morning show. Did you all see that episode?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And where she went to the bar, and a friend of mine used to do this as well at my old corporate job. Is she's like, pay the bartender some extra cash or the server so that she can stop drinking. And while they're still serving the other people, and they caught on, and it was a horrible.
About that last, remember, I knew a bartender who said he came home with lots of money that night because there were about 15 or 20 people doing the same thing. So it's not an unusual practice. Sure isn't. There's no casual finesse going on there with NA options. To be back to Tawny Lara, too, it's the sober sexpert, and she's going to be one of the keynote speakers at the Mindfulness Drinking Fest, which love the word mindfulness there because Derek Brown and his partner, Maria. Okay, so let's move on to 7.
Okay.
Which leads right from what you were just saying about guest appreciation. It's increased revenue and guest appreciation. This is all about placing value on your guests, all of your guests, the NA product itself, and the experience that they have when they attend. Guests are willing to pay, as we just discussed, a premium for non-alcoholic. Oh, yeah. These are the 2 drinks. We'll talk about that. And Twin Cities' first annual NA Day. Twin Cities NA Day is this Saturday. And will be this cocktail, NA cocktail, which is made from amethyst botanical spirits. And amethyst is out of South Carolina. Jane, she's amazing. See that?
And Laura just piped in, you're leaving money on the table if you don't include non-alcoholic beverages.
Oh,
yeah.
The best.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And these spirits this is delicious. They have 3 flavor profiles: grapefruit, basil, cucumber, lemon, cucumber, serrano, and blueberry ginger. Just
blueberry ginger I'm all over that. Blueberry ginger.
Fabulous. So I created a pink amethyst, which is
put it up higher.
The goal here, for me personally, I've realized that the creation of NA options is getting rather complicated. I attended a big event recently where it came from, I felt like he was coming from a mixology perspective, like it was going to be equal to the alcohol counterpart. While we wanted to have the casual finesse, frankly, we want less calories and less sugar. And we know that people out there are feeling the same way because they ask us, of what we have, what in this category is the lowest sugar and calories? It goes all the time. So this is literally 2 ounces of the spirit, which is, I think it's 11 calories for that. 3 ounces of pink grapefruit.
Okay.
I don't know, what's that? 50 calories. 2 ounces of sparkling water, which is no calories. And then a piece of pink grapefruit with pink peppercorns and pink Himalayan sea salt on the.
Nice.
And the goal is to have something basic where you could go to a lot of different places and say, I'll have amethyst.
Right.
It's amethyst, pink, it's easy. They have all the ingredients and it's a regular drink versus, okay, what's in that? And then now you got to dissect it. You're going to lose casual finesse if you have sort of. And some restaurants will want to elevate a little bit more, but in this event space, this is easy thing to do. And you can also dehydrate. I've dehydrated the second part because Tennyson, which you're familiar with because you have that in your house now. Are we showing these now? This is one of our favorites, and Graham and Michael Tennyson are the best. And this is a black ginger spirit. This just wows people. This wows everybody when we.
I wish you could see the pineapple in here. It's beautiful.
And you can dehydrate these fruits, and they last for more than a year. And you just grab them and throw them. And wow! So an event you just have a stash of dehydrated.
And here's one can you see? That's one that I got at Cypress Hall, a restaurant in New Bern, which Laura, you have them listed on Zero Proof Nation. Thank you very much. And this was called a Sleeping Ruby, and it was blood orange and blackberry shrub with agave grenadine, and then topped with a whipped egg white. And it was so good. I couldn't drink multiple ones of those, but I could.
No, that's going to be a little higher in sugar. So use that as a secondary or third. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't call that a particularly event-friendly drink. I would call that a bar.
True. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to be in the event space. The purpose of these is because you can make them in batches and serve them really fast. And they're simple and delicious. Yep. So then this one is I'll have a Tennyson, Tennyson, and it's got the Tennyson black ginger, pineapple juice, soda, some lime, and a dehydrated pineapple. We can get creepy and add some other things to it, but if you're in event space, you don't need it. It's perfect. Right. It's delicious. It's different. It's low in calories, very low in calories again. Well received.
Yeah, and I had one at a conference a couple of months ago, and it was with Seedlip, and the Garden 108 is what they used in that one. And it had, I'm looking at the picture that I took, it had basil, mint, strawberries, and lemon, and this. And they was batched into a big bin, and they were just serving it from it, but they garnished it. And I have a picture of me walking with 3 of them, and people are like, "Oh, aren't you a lush?" And I'm like, "Oh, if only you knew, right?"
Yes, I am.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I am.
I love that.
So we know that guests are willing to pay now.
Yeah.
What is hospitality?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the true essence of hospitality is providing options for everyone.
Right.
This is your world. You've been in the world for 15, 17 years? Whatever.
Dietary needs world. Gluten.
I am
free.
Yeah. Of course. But this whole, the non-alcoholic beverage space is on the tail of that. People have decided they're going to pay attention when they're out as to what they're eating. Now they're thinking, well, what's the beverage options? Why can't we do better there?
Yeah.
So it's addressing those diverse preferences that you have been doing, and it's ensuring all guests feel equally welcomed and valued. They do not feel equally welcomed and valued if you don't have elevated non-alcoholic options.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And
totally. I mean,
there's profound appreciation also when it's available.
For sure.
We just did this beautiful zero proof dinner at this lovely restaurant here in Six Smith in Wayzata. And it sold out in 9 days. And these, by the way, zero proof dinners or NA dinners are going at like $200 a person.
Wow.
And they're selling out, and it's big money-making opportunity for restaurants. But I stood up in between, and I was talking about the products and the people who created them and a little bit of the backstory. And I saw one guy videotaping me, and I thought, okay, he's definitely has a thirst for information. This was not about what I was doing. It was the information that I was imparting, and they are fascinated by it. They want to know the story. Everybody likes a story, and this industry is filled with amazing,
totally compelling.
Well, and I want to, Laura posted this thing here, is kind of going back to the mindfulness conversation too, is like she and 4 people, they are integrating wellness into meeting planning, and conversation is so important to their non-alcoholic dossier tomorrow at 2:00. Yeah. So really talking about that. And then she also said that Beth Harbison is a pioneer in the space, as well as with her Sober Secure certification. Oh, I like that. I need another couple of letters behind my name, Laura.
Sober Security. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. No, I like that. And then I just got a text message from a friend of mine. He says he's going to listen to this episode later when he's not trying to work. So, and he hasn't drank in a decade, I don't think. So it reaches so many different people, and next month is Heart Health Month, and I really want to look at that and how this helps with that too, right?
Yeah. Great, sure. So before we leave, though, I want to say, are we going to 11:45?
We can, we have 4 more minutes. 3 more minutes.
We'll always talk about sustainability. I just want to be sure we cover the ABCs and A, and then the coming up. So sustainability is this area sustainable? Well, I'll just say from my personal observation, the non-alcoholic beverage industry, it's a rough situation right now for makers trying to make ends meet and for people trying to serve it. We've already seen non-alcoholic bottle shops closing. We've already seen some of the biggest NA bars in the country closing. I won't say that it's not due to bad management in some cases or some poor decision-making, but here they are. It's ABCs of NA. It's ask, buy, create, and serve. We have
to like that.
Have this sequence where if you want to help this industry, do all 4 of these. Ask for NA, request non-alcoholic beverages at every venue. You just had the event planner say, people don't ask for that. We hear it all the time. Even today in 2024 during dry January, how many dry Januaries we've had, we still hear that comment. Our customers aren't asking for it. Yes, they will if you have it, but regardless, okay, let's ask the customers now. Could you please ask for it? Because that will really help. The other one is buy it. Even if you don't want to drink it, bring a 6-pack of something, bring a bottle of de-alcoholized wine, bring it to a party. You won't believe how thoughtful of a practice that is and how someone will be so appreciative of that effort. And because we have these really incredible artisans, if you will, and they're striving for liquid excellence, and many are achieving it. So you got to buy it. You got to buy it. And that's the part of the sustainability. And then create it. Mix it at home for your family, for your whatever. Try it out. It's not hard. We're going to do this at the end of February, and we're going to have a little class on how we can simplify the non-alcoholic cocktail experience at our accessible February 29th. So create it and then serve it. And this is to everyone everywhere. Serve it. Just put it on the menu and serve it, and
it's
will come.
I love that because it makes it simple. Buy it. And my one question though, and we're going to buy all of our product from Laura Silverman's but for a hotel or convention center, are they? And like I'm in North Carolina, and do they have to buy it through their distributor, or do they have to buy it through? And I know I'm going to have Marcos Salazar on in 2 weeks from the Association
of Non-Alcoholic Adult Non-Alcoholic
Beverages. So
yes.
But do they have to buy it through their distributor, or they're just buying it from Amazon?
Have to is a weird word.
Right.
Where is the opportunity? Distribution is still low. We are still relying on UPS and Federal Express for the bulk of this. If you look at the whole country. Yes, there are distributors. Every day there are distributors picking up new products. They consider they should have a non-alcoholic product in their portfolio. And so, yes, all of their distributors, you could ask when they come in, what's your non-alcoholic option? And just look and see what might fit. I think you should have a couple of cocktails that are made with a spirit, pick a couple of de-alcoholized wines, some good ones, some NA beer for sure, some ready to drink that you got on ice that people can just grab, not just a can of soda, but thoughtful, non-alcoholic, ready to drink beverage that's already created.
Yeah, especially, and that to me, that works well in a hotel environment at an event when you don't have the bartenders who are trained, who don't have the knowledge of mixing, they're not mixologists.
Right.
That makes it easy for them.
Yep.
Pop that can open and pour it on a glass of ice, right? I mean, that to me makes it.
Don't advertise it. I got to say this though: don't advertise it as a drink that you've made. This is what's happening in a lot of places.
Oh yeah,
we're seeing it on the menu, and then we realize no, they're just taking it in a can and pouring it over ice, and that's false advertising.
Yeah,
so just call it out.
Just want to point out the power of people in corporate events and planning when they're going into venues to be able to ask for that as well. And so we have seen large-scale galas say, we want this non-alcoholic beverage. And there are a lot of health-related, like the Alzheimer's conference, that want that. And they are still being met with a lot of barriers because the model in venue doesn't yet support it. So again, the collaboration we're trying to create, it's important to work together and find a solution.
Well, and it reminds me of an event that Spiritless sponsored a couple of years ago, and they were going to send their bottles so that the bartenders could make them. And the loopholes that the hotel made to bring the bottles of Spiritless to them, they ended up sending just the ready-to-drink cans because it was so much easier.
Yep, that's what it looks like right now, but yeah,
it's getting better.
It's getting better.
You know, and again, it's the leadership. It's the leadership. They're saying we'll figure this out. And then, can you share the NA Day? We have our first.
Yeah.
Sure. Twin Cities NA all across the nation.
So exciting.
Chicago.
Okay.
Had their NA Day and this mindful.
Oh, I need to look it up. So that's this Saturday. Okay. Oh, I need to see if there's one in Raleigh. Yeah.
Yes. A shout out to our local community who have planned this and believed in it, and then supporting through Zero Proof Collective. There's a ton of brands on here that we know and support. So it's great to see. And we hope to have hundreds of people come out for this and experience it for the first time in Minneapolis and cities.
Yeah. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah. I don't know if there's one in Raleigh this weekend or not, but I'll look it up. But because that's 2 hours away from me. And then you just alluded to something that you said on February 29th, and I don't have a slide for that yet, Cate. You and I are still working on it. But yes, Thrive, my other company here, and Eating at a Meeting, we're going to do a Thrive Happier Hour. And it is going to be a ticketed event where you come and learn how to make non-alcoholic beverages at home. Easy way. You're not easy to do things. So more to come on that in the next week or two. We'll post that so you can buy tickets and buy a spot, I should say. And then included in that price will actually be the spirits that you will be using in those drinks, correct?
Yeah, we'll do some optional spirits. You can buy one or buy them all. But the bitters, all the bitter, Harley and Ian Blessing, shout out to them. They've created a non-alcoholic bitter. They're just delicious. And the goal will be, again, as I explained, how to make it simple, and you can have it every day if you choose. We want to drink, but you don't have to start boiling something at the stove that you don't even have, and now you got to pay $75 to get the ingredients to get the thing that you got to make the syrup that you pour into, and that's hard for a lot of people. That's an obstacle that we run into all the time with people, and fine for special events and special occasions, but people aren't consuming this. We're just talking about intentional pathways where more people will consume more non-alcoholic beverages. And by simplifying this approach, really, will be a great lesson for people to, just a message to hear and to engage.
Right. No, I love it. I love it. I love it. And Laura's on it. She already shared the fact that there's the Counterculture Club in Charlotte. So that's 4 hours away from me, Laura. So I don't think I'm going to make that one. But
he's got our back. So, but
so
people drive our way for NA because we had a couple who drove, I don't know, it's 45 to 50 miles to come to and they go to the restaurant on a regular basis because the store manager, Vanessa Luna, has a beautiful non-alcoholic menu that she rotates also. So they drive on a regular basis because of that option. The NA options are good in there.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, we're at 51 minutes, and I'm like, there's so many other ways that we can go into this and describe it. And I can touch on some of those things next week with Mark, or 2 weeks from now with Marcos. So, and that will be after that I meet Laura in person. And Cate. Jen, are you going to be there?
I'm not. I'm missing out this year.
So I get to meet Cate in person because yay, I've met Jen in person already.
Yeah.
But we're going to be at that Mindful Drink Fest at the end of December, or end of January, sorry, up in DC. And so, yes, we'll have a lot of fun. But that will be when we'll talk about how that festival went after the fact. And I will be doing some live, at least Instagram things from the festival. So
love it.
Stay tuned for that. And ladies, I always ask this question, and I asked you this last year, but I'm going to ask you again this year, a year later. What does the safe, sustainable, and we talked about a little bit, but safe, sustainable, and inclusive mean to you, wrapping up all these 7 compelling reasons?
Yeah, I'll just start with the idea that we're making tangible change, right, in providing these non-alcoholic products that are available into the spaces. But long term, I believe that our social spaces need to change, and our events need to recognize that by not centralizing alcohol, it opens up a whole new area of wellness and a different social experience. So I'm excited to see that because that feels really safe. And I've been able to model that in some ways here, and I want to see that continue.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I love that's how the ABCs really came about after you asked that question the first time. But I really believe that if people open themselves up to these products, use them, and really let the guests be engaged in them, you won't believe how much they appreciate it. And you won't believe when you give someone a gift, how great it feels.
Yes.
It's better than receiving so much of the time. Maybe as a kid you enjoyed receiving, but when you give something, this can also be life-changing business. Let's be honest.
Right.
This is talk about safety.
Yeah.
This is a very big topic, and it's life-changing work. And we hear it, we see it, people are appreciative. But if you want to experience that feeling as well, just create some NA options and get them out there.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, and everybody, I just posted the link to join me and Cate in DC and Laura in DC for the Mindful Drink Fest, so you can buy tickets. But how can everybody join the non-alcoholic movement with Zero Proof Collective?
Oh, they can go on our website. Thank you for mentioning it. We do have a very extensive website, zeroproofcollective.com. It's everything we've done. Well, not everything, but some of the big things we've done are written about, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Some of the obstacles we've run into are also, we talk about that. But it's join the NA movement right there. And we don't do a lot of mass emails at Peck the Hurtley doing it, but we do pertinent ones, and we like to keep everybody updated. And then one of the bigger things we do on a regular basis, we forgot to mention this, we bring business leaders together, and we do that on a regular basis. So we'll get 20 to 30 people to come to a meeting, and our next one is coming up on February 8th at the Sixsmith restaurant. She's allowing us to use that space, and we get together now. In this one, we'll talk about Twin Cities NA Day. We'll talk about, recap that. I'll recap Mindful Drinking Fest in Washington, and we'll talk about some of the things after Dry January that we're moving forward and things we're facing in the industry. So
awesome.
Great way to get that.
Yeah. Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome. Thank you for showing these 7 compelling reasons, because there are 7 compelling reasons, and there's more than 7.
I'm sure.
And I really appreciate you putting that list together to help elevate this movement. And to me, this opportunity for meeting planners to meet their food and beverage minimums at events and hotels to make more money at their events, hotels and conference centers. So
we need a subset called drinking at a meeting.
Exactly. Yes.
No, hey, it's like almost noon, and here we go.
Right. And why not? And I just got my regular water, but yeah.
When you have drink on the bottle, that's we call day drinking.
Day drinking. Exactly. All right. Well, I appreciate you listening in here on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Laura, thank you for being very active on our conversation today. And then everybody who joined in on Instagram as well. Eating at a Meeting is a live video broadcast every single Wednesday. And I talk about everything that's eating at a meeting, undrinking at a meeting. Next week, I'm going to talk about vegan area with the hotel chef and what that means in incorporating vegan into your hotel menus. And then again, the last day of the month, I will be with to talk about non-alcoholic. And Laura, you're welcome. I really appreciate you doing what you're doing. So ladies, stay safe, eat well, drink well, and have a great day. Go make yourself a drink.
Appreciate it.
Everybody. See you next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Eating at a Meeting podcast, where every meal matters. I'm Tracy Stuckrath, your food and beverage inclusion expert. Call me and let's get started right now on creating safe and inclusive food and beverage experiences for your customers, your employees, and your communities. Share the podcast with your friends and colleagues at our Eating at a Meeting Facebook page and on all podcast platforms. To learn more about me and receive valuable information, go to tracystuckrath.com. And if you'd like more information on how to feed engagement, nourish inclusion, and bolster your bottom line, then visit eatingatameeting.com.